I'm Dinah Blass, and it's time to get in the mix. First, with menu items.
It's like legitimately spicy.
Chipotle, KFC, and Shake Shack were among the chains debuting new items, and you might have noticed there was a lot of spicy items.
Younger generations, clearly more adventurous palates.
Palates that restaurants are hoping to attract, especially as studies underscore their buying power at fast food restaurants. Which is why we've seen chains innovating to meet that demand, and not just through food.
Taco Bell's been testing a Mountain Dew flavored gelato and a Mountain Dew flavored energy drink. This feels like it could be a tipping point of like, oh, Taco Bell is doing energy drinks, so let's start developing ours.
It comes as restaurants realize they need to do more to get diners inside the doors.
Because they're more intentional with how they spend their dollars.
It's a change in spending rippling across the industry, and it's having an effect on all sectors, especially tech.
95% of NFTs are now apparently being deemed worthless.
These headlines and others coming up on this episode of In the Mix.
Hey everybody, this is Alicia Kelso. I'm the executive editor of Nation's Restaurant News, and I want to talk quickly today about some of the shifts that have happened with the American restaurant consumer. So it's no surprise that the consumer has shifted, namely by becoming more digital focused. But we are starting to see some evidence that there are other shifts taking place as well. And one of those shifts is reported by new research from Alex Partners that was released last month at the Prosper Forum in Florida. And it essentially shows that we are taking a lasting shift toward an experiential mindset. This shift toward more intentional dining, more meaningful experiences, it's expected to continue, despite any tightened spending, which is really interesting given the macroeconomic challenges that are taking place. This what it calls the new consumer profile, has implications for restaurants, both good and bad. On the positive side, it's created more restaurant dollars. So they might be reining in more meaningless spending, perhaps on the retail side, in favor for experiences that restaurants are able to afford. And then on the negative side, they're probably cutting back on some of the frequency, again, because they're more intentional with how they spend their dollars. And we may be seeing this, traffic erosion across segments as a result of this decrease in frequency because of this new consumer profile, if you will.
Thanks, Alicia. There are trends we see playing out in a couple of ways. Restaurant commercial real estate, as an example, is through the roof across the country. Many of the areas of interest accommodate multi-lane drive-thrus, catering towards that digital consumer. We've also seen restaurants revamp their menus to account for experiences that, quote, raise the curtain on food origins, as described in a report by Wonderman Thompson. Oftentimes, these diners have sustainability in mind, interested in munching on food that's organic, natural, and good for the environment. Typically, we associate those traits with a plant-based diet. Hopdoddy Burger's push towards regenerative meat might lead you thinking otherwise.
Most of our guests, like over 54%, were saying that they cared about the quality of their food. And then we started asking them how they define quality. It's like 75% of our surveyed guests were under the impression that all bison were grass-fed. And not the case. And so we basically set out on a mission to find a company, and we did locally in Austin, that would service that request of our guests. And the really unique thing about our path with Force of Nature and with regenerative ag is such a rewarding journey to be on, because because the deeper into it that we get, almost the more we want to get into it.
Regenerative meat is an emerging concept in agriculture that involves rebuilding organic matter in soil and restoring degraded soil biodiversity through rotational grazing methods. That means moving cattle through pasture as they graze to preserve the health of the soil. At the same time, farmers avoid pesticides and harsh chemicals to control weeds and don't use GMOs at any point in the process. It's a form of farming with a lot of promise to limit our carbon footprint.
You could shut down every coal-fired power plant in the world right now, and climate change would still happen at an alarming rate.
Yet, it hasn't been formally regulated and lacks a standard definition. Could that change as Hopdoddy raises awareness about this form of farming through its recent investment?
Hopdoddy is, I think, 35, 40 locations, something around there. And so, not huge, but that's impactful.
Hopdoddy's investment in regenerative farming comes as more information surfaces about the GMOs found within plant-based products, the foods most widely consumed to support a sustainable diet. For example, 94% of soy is genetically modified according to the Non-GMO Project. Impossible Burger is among the brands that incorporate genetically modified soybean plants and yeast in its product line. Perhaps that explains why sales of plant-based analogs have declined, despite a strong appetite for sustainable plant-based foods. Maybe we just need to eat plants. That's according to NRN's Brett Thorne.
So I put forward the argument that the future of plant-based meals is plants. And you can read about a number of really cool menu items featuring beets and cauliflower and also fruit like lychee ceviche. And you're going to be seeing more of this as more people understand that you can have a really great, filling, wonderful meal just by eating vegetables.
Thanks, Brett. Now moving on to tech. It's another indication of uncertain economic times. NRN's Joanna Fantozzi shares details of the NFT meltdown, in which plans of flashy member-only restaurants backed by NFTs are stalling and in some cases falling apart.
Earlier this month, I reported on a story that Show Group's upscale NFT restaurant located in San Francisco is apparently officially never going to be built after months and months of delays, mostly due to meager interest and membership sales. Other NFT hospitality projects from Brooklyn Chop House and Dragonfly brands were similarly abandoned. But I'm thinking that the lessons from the boom in NFTs might stick around for a little longer as digital subscription programs and interactive loyalty programs become more popular throughout the industry, even if NFTs themselves ended up being a bust.
So there you have it. You're now in the mix with Nation's Restaurant News. For more coverage like this, check out nrn.com. Till next time, I'm Diana Blass.